Yes, what is subnetting? Who will explain subnetting? Is there anyone who is joining this class for the first time?
Hi sir, this is Shumon.
Hi,
I'm
Suman.
joining. I'm joining the class for the first time, but I am enrolled for CCNP.
And what about the previous two classes?
Previous, I don't have the links yet to watch the previous recordings till now.
So after the class, you can request for the previous recording. Even the link is available in the group. You can go
Okay, sir.
through that. Okay.
Okay. Is there the account? I am going. It is accessible from your portal website or
No, no, not from
anything
the
else there?
website. There is link,
How to access it?
unlisted
Okay.
video link. Right. So by clicking on the link, you can access the video.
Okay. This is on Meet. Is it is?
Sorry?
It is on Meet in this
Yes.
application. Okay.
So tell
Okay,
me,
sir.
what is
I'll get.
subnetting? You have enrolled for CCNP, right? So I am expecting you know
Yes.
the basic things, the CCNA.
The subnetting is to divide a large network by a parts.
Large network. Why we need to divide large network?
Any network.
Why we need to divide large network? And what is the meaning of large network? Two questions are there. What is large network? First question, and another question is why we need to divide. Yes, Suman.
To reduce broadcast.
Reduce broadcast. What is
Yes.
broadcast? Third question.
Let me remember.
Broadcast means one to any, one to all in the network. That is the definition of broadcast.
Yes.
Broadcast means one to all in a network. So you are saying divide. Why we need to divide means to divide the broadcast. There is no any meaning, brother. Suman, is there any meaning in your answer? No. Others can also try. What is large network? Why we need to divide? And broadcast. What is broadcast? Broadcast means one to all in the network. Okay, so definition is incorrect. To divide broadcast is not the right answer.
To use the IP
Okay.
in a way that we should not discard the unusable, like if we have 10 IPs, so I have
But there is a
only
lot of
twice.
noise is coming because many are not mute.
Please put yourself on mute, everyone, if you are not speaking. Suman Dev, keep yourself on mute if there is noise from your side. Yes, if we have 10 IP,
So if we have 10 IPs, but only usable are 5, so other 5 will be like it will be in the form of like it will be, हम उसको उसको यूज नहीं कर सकते, तो आई विल डिवाइड दोज आईपीज.
Praful sir, actually to divide the chunk of network, so we need subnetting.
what is chunk of network?
Chunk like a group of network. Suppose I have
No, no, no.
class C.
From the class C, you can have one subnet only, one network only.
Yes, but if you divide this network, so how can we divide? Through we subnetting, we can divide the network.
What I am asking, why we need to divide?
Suppose,
sir,
okay, just a second. For let's
You
for
can divide it
example,
for smaller networks.
uh,
yeah,
let's
sir.
for example, yes. Let's for suppose example, I need 50 hosts, eight one network. Another requirement is other part of team requirement is 32 host. So let's we divide the network in let in subnetting that the requirement is we divide in a subnetting way. So if the requirement, suppose they required eight hosts, so we can divide slash 29, and suppose the requirement is 64, so we divide in slash 20, slash 27. So in that way we can divide the classic network according as per requirement.
Guys, crack the interview. Your answer should be very clear and crystal. Whatever topic we are covering here in the class, try to ask the question and answer to yourself. Right? If I am saying why we need subnetting, so the simple answer of subnetting can be what? To divide large network into a smaller network, or to divide classful network into classless network, because by default the smallest network can have 254 IP addresses. That can be the smallest network. If I will ask you why we need to divide large network into a smaller network, you can say to reduce the wastage, to avoid the wastage of IPv4 address. Because if I need, someone said I need only 50 IP address. So guys, in the class full, do I have any subnet where I will get 50 IP address? No. I have only three class, either class A, class B, or class C. From class A, I can have 254 IP address. From class B, I can have 2 power 20, 2 power 16 minus 2 IP address. From class A, we can have 2 power 24 minus 2 IP addresses. There is no any class where I can get 50 number of IP addresses. So in this case, when we need 50 IP addresses, if I will use IP from the class C, definitely I will use from class C. Because here only I will get the smallest network, minimum number of IP addresses. But even though we have 254 IP address, that is not usable in the network, that we cannot use anywhere. So those IP addresses are called wastage IP address. Those IP addresses are actually we are wasting those IP addresses, and to avoid those wastage, reduce those wastage, we come up with subnetting. Even through subnetting, we cannot reduce 100% wastage, but we can try as much as we can reduce. That's it. We cannot reduce the 100% wastage, but we can try to as much as we can. Right? So what is subnetting? Subnetting is a process. It is a process of dividing class full network into two classless. Now there is one term, classless. You know the meaning of classful. Classful means class A, class B, class C, subnet networks. And this is new for you, which is classless. So soon we are going to understand the meaning of classless. Classless means when we don't have any class. When we don't have any class of IP address, class A, class B, class C. That type of networks are called classless networks. Right? Or in other word, you can say dividing, process of dividing large network into a smaller network to reduce the wastage of IPv4 address. Okay. First of all, let's understand classless network. To understand classless network, you have to understand CIDR. CIDR. What is the full form of CIDR, guys? Classless,
Classless interdomain routing.
classless interdomain. routing, classless interdomain routing. And for each class, we have class A, we have class B, and class C. So for each class, we have defined a CIDR value, that is predefined CIDR value for each class. Actually, you can also calculate the default CIDR value for each class if you know what is CIDR. So what is CIDR, guys? CIDR is nothing but it is class representation of work, class representation of network bits. So you tell me, for class A, how many network bits are there? For class A, how many
8.
network bits are there? 8. So
8.
CIDR value for class A can be what? Class A,
/8.
right? It means it's saying that 8 network bits are there, and we can calculate host bit because we know the total length of IPv4 address is 32. 32 minus network bits, you will get host bit. For class B, how many network bits are there? 16.
16.
So slash 16 is the CIDR value for class B. This default CIDR value. And for class C, it is going to be 24. Right? Subnet mask. What is the difference between CIDR value and subnet mask? What is the difference between subnet mask and CIDR value? In the subnet mask, we have both the information, how many network bits are there and how many host bits are there. For an example, for class A, subnet mask is 255.0.0.0. The zeros are host bits and ones are network bits. But CIDR value is only representing what? Network bits. How many network bits are here? If I am going to write any IP address over here, let's say 10.1.10.1. So this IP address belongs to which class? Class A. To identify the class, you are going to check first octet value only. If value in the first octet is from 0 to 127, that means that IP address belongs to class A. And you know the subnet mask for class A. Now you also know the CIDR value for class. When we don't have any class, that type of network is called classless network. Right? If I am going to take any subnet, any network from class C, for an example 192.168.10.0/24, it means how many IP addresses are there? 256 IP addresses are there, and usable IP addresses are 254. One is network ID, one is broadcast ID. 254 IP addresses are usable IP address. Correct? But if I need this number of IP addresses, only 50 IP addresses or 100 number of IP addresses, then don't have any class for that. That's why you come up with subnetting. That's why we come up with subnetting. You can ask one question. First of all, okay, let's say there is one network, and here in the network I have 100 users. Means I need 100 number of IP addresses. I will use 192.168.10.0/24 or 10.0. Total 254 IP addresses are there. I will use 100. What if I will waste 154 IP addresses? This is private IP address, Praful. This private IP address is reusable. Any other company can use it. But brother, what about your organization? Like this, you can have multiple subnets. For an example, this is one department or one building. Like this, you have multiple building. One building here also I have one building. Right here also I need 100 number of IP addresses. 100 users are there. And here I am using different subnet 192.168.20.0/24. So again I have 254 IP addresses. Both are different subnet. Now if I am going to connect these two those building together through one router, this router need to install how many routes in routing table? If anyone have idea about routing table of router, then this in this case router is going to install routes in the routing table. R1. R1 is connected to, let's say, another router at different side. I have another side somewhere. This is one side, let's say in Delhi, and here I have one another side in R2. The router is going to install how many network in the routing table? 2 LAN and one subnet over here on this link, maybe 12.1.1.0/24. So 3 subnet will be there. Correct? If you want to reduce the size of routing table of R2, later you will understand the benefit of reducing the size of routing table. For an example, right? This is just to make you understand. For an example, this router can only install up to 2 routes in routing table, 2 networks in the routing table. These routers are designed, their hardware and software are designed to install only 2 routes in the routing table. It cannot install 3. What you will do? Right? Like this, if I am using 100 number of subnet or 1000 number of networks, and if my router don't have capability to install 1000 number of prefixes in the routing table, then you will later learn the summarization, how to perform the summarization. Here I cannot tell to router that bro 192.168.10.0 network is connected on your interface F0/0. Let's say this is F0/0 interface. F0/0. I have to configure, I have to tell to router to both the network are reachable from this interface. If you are getting router to here, router 2, if you are getting traffic for 192.168.10.0, then also forward from F0/0. Or if you are receiving traffic for 192.168.20.0, then also forward from F0/0. Now understand the benefit of subnetting. Here you need only 100 IP addresses. Here also you need 100 IP addresses, and in this subnet, in this subnet 192.168.10.0, total I have 254 IP addresses, right? Guys, somehow if I am going to divide this large network into 2 parts, let's say my first part is 192.168.10.0 and the second part is 192.168.10.128. So you can see the both subnetwork. These are what? Subnetwork, subnet. Both subnetwork are part of this main network, right? Now I can tell to router 2 that bro, you have to install one network in your routing table, which is 192.10.0. 192.168.10.0. Whenever you will receive traffic for this network, forward it from F0/0. Now router can forward traffic in both the network through single entry, yes or no? Because both the sub network are part of this single network.
Yes, sir.
Right? So when you will have large enterprises, company, network, right? In that case, subnetting is going to help you a lot to reduce the wastage. Maybe here you cannot understand it. But if you are going to use all class full network, for an example, here my subnet is 10.1.10.1.0. Here my network is /24. Here my network is 20.1.1.0/24. And if router 2 cannot install again subnet, it can install only one network, then we don't have any option. Even we cannot perform summarization here, right? So that's why better to divide one large network into multiple subnetwork and use it. Another reason I can tell you is, for an example, I am going to use this subnet 192.168.10.0/24. Guys, how many users can be there? How many IP addresses are there? 254. Another scenario, I am going to say 192.168.10.0/26. Total number of IP addresses over here is 62. Right? So you have two network. In one network, there are 254 PCs, users are there, 254 computers are there. Another side, there is one network where we have 64 networks. 64 or 62 users. So which network is going to be easy to manage for you? Which will be easier to manage? Let's understand in another way. For an example, what I am saying, this is my company, and in the company 1000 users are there. 1000 users are there. So many, they can have laptop, they can have computer, server, printer, IP phone, IoT devices, right, router, switch. Lots of networking devices are there, all are connected together with each other. In the same way, another way here, what we did, we divide this large amount of networking devices into multiple parts, right? Again, same number of users are there, but we have divided it in multiple parts into, let's say, 4 part, and in each part we have how many networking devices? 225, sorry, 250. After the division, right? So here we have created multiple smaller network, and here we have all the devices in single network. Which network is going to be easy to manage, troubleshoot? If there is any issue, where you can troubleshoot first? Definitely in second scenario, yes or no? Because here
Yes, certainly.
we have divided the large network into a smaller part. Why we divide? We divide anything to make it easy. In OSI model also we have seen that if there is no chapter in the book of a 1000-page book, it's going to be very difficult to read. But if there is unit wise, right, if we have divided the book in chapter, page number, it is going to be easy to read, complete the book. We divide anything to make it easy. In the same way, subnetting is going to help me to first divide large network into a smaller part. At the same time, it is going to the wastage of IPv4 address as well. Is it clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Just 1 minute. Call me. Yeah. Okay. Now let's understand what is subnetting. This is only why we come up with subnetting. Now we are going to understand what is subnetting, how we can divide large network into a smaller part, right? So let's take one example of a network from class C only, because class C subnetting is going to be simplest one. 255.255.255.0. CIDR value is going to be /20. There are some formulas to calculate or to divide large subnet into smaller part, large network into multiple subnet. If I am saying subnet, what is the meaning of subnet? Some Full form of subnet is sub network. What it mean? It means subnet is a smaller part of a large network. Yes or no? If I am saying subnet means the network which you will get after performing subnetting. That is called subnet. If I am saying network, that means I am talking about classful network. Okay, and later we are going to call it prefix. Sometime in the BGP, we'll call it NLRI, right? Sometime you will call it route. So there are some formula. First formula of subnetting is valid host. You already know the formula of valid host. Tell me what is the formula to find valid host. What is the formula of valid host? 2 power h minus. This is first formula. Second formula is find number of subnet. Power n. N is what? N is borrow. Second formula. Third formula is block size. Block size. Formula of block size is 256 minus subnet mask of last octet, or you can say subnet mask of that octet, that field where last one is present, right? Block size is going to tell you the size of your network, or from where your next network is going to be start. This is going to be challenging to find from where my next network will start. Okay, these are three formula. That's it. We don't need any other formula for the subnetting. Now guys, here, if this is my example, this case, can you tell me how many valid hosts are there, how many subnets are there, and what is block size? One more thing here we can calculate, but I will tell you that while implementing. How many valid hosts are there? 2 power h minus 2. What is h? Host bit. How many host bits are there, guys? Okay. For starting subnetting, let me ask you one question and the answer. I am going to give you one IP address, and IP address is 192.168.10.100. Can anyone tell me the network ID of this IP address? What is network ID? What is network ID? Network ID means, guys, the main or the first IP address, like the main member of a family. It can be your father, it can be your grandfather. In the similar way, in IPv4 network, we have network ID, which is the main member of a subnet, right? Host means IP address, and network means the main part of multiple IP addresses. So what will be the network ID of this IP address? Hello, audible?
192.168.10.0.
How you have calculated this network ID, brother?
It's a class C slash 24. That means 255, 255,
So first you have
255.0.
identified the class,
Yeah,
right? Then you find the subnet mask. Then
yeah. And then 0 means it's a host bit, so should be like 2 to the power 8 minus 2.
then you will perform AND operation here.
Yeah,
Which operation? AND operation. Right? In AND operation, what will happen? If input is 0, 0, then output is always going to be 0. 0, 0 will always give you output 0. 1, 0 will also give you output 0. 0, 1 will also give you output 0. And 1, 1. If input is 1, 1, then output is going to be 1. This is AND operation. Everyone? Yes? So to
So, sir, I cannot understand. Can you please repeat again?
you know the AND operation?
No, sir, no.
Don't know AND operation.
No, sir.
In AND operation, if input is 0, 0, then output is going to be 0. Right? AND operation is similar like multiplication, multiplier. If you are going to multiply 0 into 0, what value you will get? 0. If you are going to multiply 1 into 0, again value is going to be 0. 0, 1, 0, and 1, 1 will be only 1. To find the network ID, how we are finding the network ID? We are converting our IP address into binary. IP address into binary, and then subnet mask into binary. And after that, AND operation. Will perform AND operation, then you will get network ID. Then you will get network ID of an IP address. So here if I am saying my IP address is, for an example, 10.10.10.10, and you need to find the network ID of this IP address. First of all, you have to add the subnet mask. You can ask to me, Praful, what is subnet mask? Or you can identify by class. If I have not defined any CIDR value or subnet mask, that means it is the default one. And in default, for default class is subnet mask is 255.0.0.0. What is binary of 10? Tell me, brother, binary of 10. Binary of 10. Binary of 10? Don't know. Binary of 10 is 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. This is the binary of 10. So I am going to convert whole IP address into binary. 10, 10, 10, 10. Right? There is no any difference between this IP address and this IP address. Both are exactly same. Difference is only in term of representation. This is in binary and this is in decimal. Your machine does not understand decimal. Your machine know this IP address in the binary. Right? Both the IP addresses are exactly same. After that, I will convert my subnet mask into binary. What will be the binary of 255? All 1, 8 times 1. Binary of 0. It is going to be 0. 0 only. Here also 0 only. Here also 0 only. Right? So this is my subnet mask in binary and this is my IP address in binary. And here we will perform what? AND operation. So after performing AND operation here, what value I will get here, guys? 0, 1. What I told you, in binary 0, 1 is going to give you output 0 only. So here value will be 0. Again 0, 1, 0. Again 0, 1, 0. Again 0, 1, 0. And 1, 1, 1. Again 0, 1, 0. Again 1, 1, 1. And 0, 1, 0. And here 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Right? In the same way here also all the value is going to be all the bits is going to be 0 only. Here also all the bits is going to be 0 only. This is your network ID. This is network ID and this is IP address, right? This is your network ID of this particular IP address. If you will convert it into decimal again, so the decimal value of this binary is 10. Decimal value of this binary is 0. All value is 0. Decimal value of this binary is again 0, and decimal value of this binary is also 0. So my network ID is going to be what? 10.0.0.0. If someone will ask you what is the network ID of this IP address, the network ID. Here now. Clear? So in the similar way here, we will find the network ID of this IP address. Every time we are not going to convert it into binary and then we perform AND operation, because we already know that here in the first octet of subnet mask we have 255. That means all 1. If I am going to multiply 192 by 1, then same value I will get 192 here. Dot. Again I am going to multiply 168 by 1 only. Here I will get same value. 10 by 255. Again I will get same value here 10. And 100 by 0. So what value I will get here? 0. That means this is my network ID and this is the IP address. This is my network ID. In this network ID we have total 256 IP addresses and this is one of them. This IP address is one of them. Okay. Clear guys? How to find the network ID of any IP address? If I am saying 172.16.10.240, what is the network ID of this IP address?
172.16.10.0.
0.0, not 10.0. This IP address belongs to class B, subnet mask 255.255.0.0. So if you will multiply 10 by 0, you will get here 0. Here also if you are going to multiply 250 by 0, you will get 0. If you are going to multiply 170 by 255, you will get same value. Here also you will get same value. Okay. Now 192.168.10.0, 10.0 and slash 24. This is my network ID, right? How to find valid host? 2 power h. How many h? How many host bits are there? 8. So 2 power 8 minus 2 is the total number of hosts. Power 8 is going to be 256 minus 2 means 254 are the valid IP addresses, and this is my network ID. What will happen if I am going to make it 25? If I am going to change the CIDR value from 24 to 25. Now first of all here you have to find the borrow bit. Borrow bit. Question is how to find the borrow bit. So to find the borrow bit, you have to check what is the default CIDR value for this network. What is the default CIDR value, guys? 24. And what CIDR value I am using here? 25. That means I have borrow how many bits? 1 bit.
1.
If I am saying 26, that means how many bits I have borrow?
2.
If I am saying 27, that means how many bits I have borrow?
3.
Right? If I am saying 10.10.100.50 plus 10, how many bits I have borrow here?
2.
How many bits I have borrow here? 2. If I am saying 24, how many bits I have borrow?
16.
16 bits I have borrowed here because this IP address belongs to class A, and for class A default CIDR value is 8 and I am using 24. That means I have borrowed 16 bits, right? And what is the formula of number of network subnet? 2 power n is 4 bit only, right? So in this case, tell me how many networks are there? How many not networks, sub networks are there? Subnets are there. How many subnets are there? 2 power 4 bit 3 means 8. We have divided this large network to 8 parts. We have 8 sub network. Right? Here how many networks are there? How many subnets are there, guys? 2 power 16 because here I have borrowed 16 bits. Clear till here? Okay, so now you know how to find the network ID. You know how to find number of subnet. How to find network ID of any IP address and how to find number of subnet. Third thing. Again, my subnet is same 192.168.10.0/24 is the default one. I'm going to use 25. How many subnets are there? How many subnets are there? See, this IP address belongs to class
Two.
C, not 2. This IP address belongs to class C. That means CIDR value, default CIDR value is 24 and I am using 25. That means I have borrowed 1 bit. So 2 power 1 subnet is going to be, right? Now we need to find what? What is the network ID of first subnet? What is the network ID of second subnet? So this is the network ID of first subnet. This is the network ID of first subnet. How to find the network ID? Same process. Convert IP address and subnet mask into binary. What will be the subnet mask of /25? CIDR value is 24, then subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. If slash value is 25, then what will be the subnet mask? 255.128. 128 because guys 25 bits means what? In first octet all bits are 1. In second octet also all bits are 1. In third octet also all bits are 1. In fourth octet one bit is 1. First bit is 1 and all rest 7 bits are 0. This is second octet, right? And this value is nothing but the 128 only. If I am going to make it 1, then 128 plus 64, it is going to be what? 192.
192. Yes.
If I am going to make it also 1, 3 bits is 1, then 192 plus 32, what value you will get here?
224.
2 to 4. If I am going to make it 1 plus 16,
240.
240. If I am going to make it 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits are on and 3 bits are off. Then plus 8 is 248. If I am going to make it 1, then plus 4, it is going to be what? 252. If I am going to on this bit also, then plus 2 means 254. If I am going to on all the bits, then plus 1, 2, 5. All bits are 1, then value is 255, right? So for the subnetting, you need to practice CIDR value with subnet mask, right? What will be the subnet mask for /26 255.255.255 dot 192? What will be the CIDR value for 27 55.255.255 dot
240. Yes.
224
Uh, 2 to 4. Sorry.
forward
Yes.
slash 28 55.255.255.40 forward slash 29 55.255.255.248 forward slash 30 55.255.255.252 forward slash 31 55.255.255.254 and forward slash 32 55.255.255.5, right? Forward slash 9 also you can calculate like this. First octet all the bits are 155. In second octet 1 bit is on, means 128 plus 0.0. Getting my point? Like this you can find subnet mask with CIDR value. So here my subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255.128. And what I told you, what is the formula to find block size? 256 minus subnet mask of last octet. What is the subnet mask of last octet? Is the subnet mask of that octet where last one is present. Last one is present in fourth octet only. And the subnet mask for fourth octet is 128. So what value I will get here, guys? 128 only, right? It means my first subnet is first subnet equals 192.168.10.0. Second subnet is 192.168.10.128. These are two subnet, right? These are the two subnet. Now you can find the valid host. How many valid hosts are here in each subnet? Here value is 25 CIDR value, and here also CIDR value is /25. Formula of valid host is 2 power h minus 2. What is the h? Total length of IPv4 address is 32 bits, and out of 32 bits address, 25 bits are network bits. That means how many host bits are there? How many host bits are there, guys?
7.
7.
Yes, sir.
7 are host bit, right? And formula find valid host is 2 power h, means 2 power 7. 2 power 7 means 128 minus, means how many valid hosts are there? 126. Now you can see we have 126 number of IP addresses in each subnet. Here also we have 126 IP address. Here also we have 126 IP address. Earlier, if I am using /24, that means 254 IP addresses are there. And if I am using /25, that means 126 IP addresses are there. So now if I am going to use this subnet, instead of using 192.168.10.0/24, if I am going to use this subnet over here, then how many IP addresses I will waste? Earlier I was wasting 154 IP addresses. Now I will only waste 26 IP address, because I already need 100 number of IP addresses. Only I need to change the CIDR value from /24 to /25. How we have reduced the wastage. Is it clear? Now guys, you know, in the exam, in CCNA exam or interviewer can ask you questions from here. They can ask you, can you tell me third IP address of second subnet? Can anyone answer to this question? Third IP address. So the network ID is 128, which is the first IP address. Second IP address is going to be 129. Third IP address is going to be 130. Then they can ask you, can you tell me the third valid IP address from second subnet? So third valid IP address is going to be 131,
131.
right? So we can write down each and every IP address from both subnet, right? I have two subnet, that is clear. First subnet is 192.168.10.0/25, and second subnet is 192.168.10.128/25, right? My second subnet, right? So the first valid IP address from the first subnet is going to be 192.168.10.1. Second IP 192.168.10.2. What will be the last IP address? 192.168.10. Guys, next network is starting from 128. That means this network will hand over 127 only, right? So last IP address is going to be 127 here, right? Which is broadcast address. My broadcast address. So last valid IP address is going to be 192.168.10.126. So you can see first valid IP address is 10.1 and last valid IP address is 126. That means how many total valid IP addresses are there? 126. In second subnet also you can check first IP address is going to be 192.168.10.129. This is the first valid IP address. Second valid IP 192.168.10.130, right? And last valid IP address is 192.168.10.55. This is broadcast address, not last valid IP address. This is again broadcast ID. Last valid IP address will be 192.168.10.3.4, right? So these are valid IP addresses. In each subnet we have total 126 valid IP address. Here also, here also. If I am going to divide the same network into 4 parts, then definitely number of valid hosts will reduce. If number of subnet will increase, then valid host will decrease. And if my subnet is reducing, that means valid host is increasing. So now can anyone tell me answer of this? Here is 192.8.10.0/20. How many subnets are there? Then valid host per subnet, block size. Tell me guys, answer of this.
Total subnet is 64. Sorry, 6 subnet.
Four
Okay, total is
subnet.
four subnet is there. Four subnet is there, and valid host is 064, 064,
Sorry, you are
128.
not audible. Please repeat.
So total subnet is 4.
Total subnet is
4.
4.
Yes.
Valid host.
Valid host is 0 to 64. Block size is because
Total number of
32
valid
minus
IP addresses. How many valid IP addresses are there?
62.
62.
Yes.
And block size?
64.
60. Very good. The right answer. Right. So first of all, to find number of subnet, we are going to check borrow bit, and we have seen this IP address belongs to class C, means default CIDR value is 24 and I am using /26. That means I have borrowed 2 bit. So number of subnet is going to be 2 power 2, which is 4. Then we find valid host. Formula to calculate valid host is 2 power h minus 2. And if I have 26 network bits out of 32 bits IP address, that means how many host bits are there? 32 minus 26, 6. So 2 power 6 minus 2 is the valid host, right? And if I will talk about the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.190. So block size formula is 256 minus 192, 4, right? So here I have 4 subnet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. First subnet is 192.168.10.0. Second subnet is 192.168.10.64. Third subnet is 192.168.10.64 plus 64, 128. And my last fourth subnet is going to be 192.168.10.190.
192.
192.
Yes, sir, 192.
Nope. Yeah. Okay, these are 4 subnets. What will be the last IP address of first subnet? 192.168.10.63, because next network is starting from 64, right? Last IP address of second network is going to be 192.168.10.127. Last IP address of third subnet is going to be 192.168.10.191, and last IP address of last subnet is going to be 192.168.10.255. If you will calculate the next network, you can add block size over here. Block size is 64. What value you will get here? 256, which is invalid, not valid. We cannot have 256 value in the octet because we have only 8 bits. By using 8 bits, we can represent 0 to 255 only. And next network is starting from 256. Definitely this network will end on 255. These are my subnet. What is the first valid IP address of first subnet? 192.168.10.1. What is the first valid IP address of second subnet? 192.168.10.64.5. 192.168.10.129 and 192.168.10.193. Right? Last valid IP address 192.168.10.129. .62, 192.168.10.126, 192.168.10.190, 192.168.10.4. Right? So I can ask you any question. Tell me the fifth valid IP address of third subnet, fourth subnet, second subnet. Doesn't matter. You can answer to any question. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, guys, if I am going to use here 192.168.10.0, again same subnet, but this time slash value is 27. How many bits I have borrowed?
3.
So how many subnets are there now?
8.
8. And how many valid hosts will be there?
But 32.
30. 30 or
अच्छा, very
32? Valid
30,
host.
30,
30.
Right? And what will be block size?
32.
Right? So here you can see here you can see when I am using /24, I have 254 IP address. When I am using /25, I have 126 IP address. When I am using /26, I have 62 IP address. When I am using /27, I have 30 IP address. When I will use /28, I will have 16 valid IP address per subnet. When I will use /30, I will only have 2 IP address per subnet. 192.168.10.0/30. And this subnet is again very useful. Between the router, I need only 2 IP addresses, right? So we will always use /30 to avoid the wastage, right? So here guys, how many bits I have borrowed? How many bits I have borrowed?
6.
6
6.
bits. So 2 power 6 means how many subnets are there? How many number of subnets are there? 2 power
64.
6.
64.
64 subnets are there, right? And valid host
2.
2 power h. H is 2 here. 4 minus 2, it is going to be 2 only, right? And block size?
4.
Block size 256 minus submit mask of last octet, right? So here submit mask is going to be 255.255.255.252. 256 minus 252, it is going to be 4, right? So total 64 subnets are there. First subnet is 192.168.10.0. Second subnet 192.168.10.4. Third subnet 192.168.10.8. Fourth subnet 192.168.10.12. Like this we have 64 subnets total, right? What will be the last IP address of first subnet? Last IP 192.168.10.3, which is guys broadcast ID, right? This is network ID and this is broadcast ID, means valid IP address is going to be 10.1, first valid IP address, and last valid IP address is going to be 10. Right? So total 2 valid IP addresses are there in this subnet. One is 10.1, another one is 10.2, right? And between the router, whenever we need to connect to router, right? So on this subnet guys, between the router, I need only 2 IP addresses, one for this interface and one for this interface. That's it, right? So every time between the routers, you will use /30. What should be your CIDR value? /30. This is again interview question as well as your exam question. What slash value I should use between two router? So we should use /30. So this is subnetting of class C. In the same way we can calculate the subnetting for class B also, for class A also. For an example, 172.16.0.0 and slash. By default CIDR value is going to be what here? By default CIDR
16.
16. So I am using 17. That means again how many subnets are there? How many subnets are there? 2 power n.
2.
N is 1.
2 subnets.
So 2 subnets are there. Right? How many valid hosts are there guys? valid host. 2 power
15.
2 over
2
15.
power 15 minus 2.
Very good. And block size 256 minus 128. It is going to be 120. If anyone is learning subnetting for the first time, you need lots of practice, right? So this week you can practice subnetting only. You have 2 class this week, and from the next week, guys, maybe from the next week and 90% from the next week we will have class. 10% maybe after next week. But soon your class is going to be in weekdays. If you are learning submitting for the first time, now you have lots of time, practice and practice each and every. Okay, so here, fine. Here my first subnet is going to be, what? 172.16.0.0. My second subnet is going to be what? 172.16. Where you will add block size? In the interesting octet. Where is the interesting octet? Where is the last one present? In which octet last one is present? In third octet, right? In third octet only last one is present. So here in third octet we are going to add the block size 128.0. Right? So what will be the last IP address of first subnet? 16.127.255. This is just one IP address before to this IP address. So this is going to be my last IP address. What will be the last IP address of second subnet? 172.16.255.255. Right? First IP address is going to be 172.16.0.0. Right? Like this, somewhere you will have 172.16.126.255. So if I am going to ask you this question, 172.16.126.255/17, and I am going to ask you, is it a valid IP address? Many people will say, no, this is a broadcast address. But guys, this is a valid IP address. More than 90% students are going to say, yes, this is a broadcast address. This is not a valid address. But this one is the valid IP address. You can configure it on device. Right? And last valid IP address 172.16.127.250. My last valid IP address from first subnet. Clear? Then again you can perform subnetting for /18 from class B, /18, /19, /20, /21, /22, /23, and /24, 4, 5, so on. We have same concept, right? Concept is exactly same for each class. For class A, if I have an IP address 10.0.0.0, default CIDR value 8. If I am using 9, how many subnets are there again? 2. 2 subnets are there. What will be the block size? Again, block size is going to be 128. Right? And valid host 2 power 23 minus 2. 2 power 23 minus 2 is the valid host. First subnet 10.0.0.0. Second subnet. What will be the second subnet? 10.128.0.0. So last IP address of first subnet is going to be 10.127.255.255. This is the last IP address of first subnet. And last IP address of second subnet 10.255.255.255. This is again network ID. This is again broadcast ID. So first valid IP address is 10.0.0.1 and last valid IP address is 10.127.255.254. This is last valid IP address for first subnet. Clear? Any question? Anyone is not able to understand subnetting? Here you can practice your submitting question in the book. Subnet. Here are the subnetting. Subnetting basic. First you will get the basic questions here. Subnet mask. CIDR. CIDR value /8, 9, 10, 11 till 30. Then subnetting from class C. So this one is the default subnet mask and CIDR value for class C. And these are the subnetted CIDR value and subnet mask for class C. And here is the practice question. These are the formula only, the same formula which we have covered here. Now what it's saying, the first question is 255.255.128 means /25. So for /25 find the subnet mask, network address, the network address, subnet mask, how many subnets are there, first host, first valid IP address, last valid IP address, broadcast address and subnet address, network ID. Right, so network ID of first subnet is .0, second subnet is .128. First valid IP address 129, last valid IP address 254. Right, then here is the implementation, how we can implement it. You can see this router is connecting two different subnet. Router cannot connect same subnet, right? But guys, both are the part of single network, which is 192.168.10.0/24. If I will show you the practical here, packet tracer. By the way, many more questions are there. You can go through these questions. You have already this book on the drive. Download it and practice all the question by yourself. Each and every question. If you are going to practice the all question from here of subnetting, right, you will never forget subnetting in your entire life. And you don't need to read subnetting again. Right, this is one time learning. And after that there are some test question. So see, first question is asking, what is the maximum number of IP addresses that can be assigned to host on a local subnet that uses 255.255.255.224? If this is my subnet mask, then what is maximum number of IP addresses, guys? I can configure to the host, means it is talking about valid host IP address.
30s.
30 number of valid IP addresses are there, right? So option D is correct answer. Here is the second question, third question, fourth question, and so many questions are there. You can practice it by yourself. Apart from it, I can also give you one PDF of subnetting question. From there also you can practice. Okay, but this is so important. If you don't know the subnetting, you can never understand the packet flow. Even you cannot understand the networking then. Subnetting is the major part of CCNA 200301 exam paper. Anyone don't know the router configuration, how we are configuring the router, don't worry, we'll see it. Later we will discuss about Cisco IS. For now, if you guys have already idea about CCNA, you can understand. So see, this router is connecting two different network. Router is a networking device which is used to connect multiple networks together. In my case, this router is connecting two network, right? So if I will try to configure IP here on this router, let me show you. Enable config T interface F0/0, no shutdown, and IP address. Let's say 192.168.10.1.255.255.255.0. And if I will configure IP from same subnet on another interface, no cert, and IP address 192.168.10. Let's say 130.255.255.255.0. What it's saying? Your IP address is overlapping with this subnet, right, on fast Ethernet 0/0. So here I have to use two different classful network, or we can divide the classful network into multiple part with the help of subnetting. So if this is my main subnet 192.168.10.0/24, and I want to divide it into two part, what subnet mask I should use? 25/25. Then there are two network. First network is 192.168.10.0. Second network is 192.168.10.128. Correct? So this way we can configure IP interface F0/0. IP address I can say 192.168.10.1, 255.255.255.128, and then interface F0/1. IP address 192.168.10.129 is the first valid IP address of second subnet 255.255.255.120. Now you can see it accepted. It accepted, and so IP interface brief. You can see the IP configuration. Both the IP address are part of this classful subnet. Yes or no? So IP route. This one and this one. Both are subnetwork. Both are subnet. Right? So a router can either install these two subnet, or they can install directly this subnet 192.168.10.0. My point. Here guys, what happened? No one is Now, see, we have divided the network uniformly. What is the meaning of uniformly? Guys, the length of network is
Equal.
equal. Length of each network is equal, right? What if the length of my network is variable? What if the length of my network is variable? So then we have another type of subnetting that is called sometimes supernetting or FLSM. See, there are two types of subnetting. Types of subnetting. First one is FLSM and second one is VLSM. FLSM stands for fixed length subnet masking. When the length of my subnet is same. Fixed length subnet masking. And VLSM stands for variable length subnet masking. When the length of subnet is variable, that particular thing is called VLSM, right? So for an example, I have a requirement. I have 4 departments, or let's say 3 departments are there. In first department, I need 120 IPs. In second department, I need 50 IPs. And in third department, I need only 30 IPs. This is my requirement. So again here, if we are going to use FLSM, then equal number of, you will get equal number of IP address in one subnet, right? So for an example, this is my main subnet 192.168.10.0/24. Guys, can I achieve my task with the help of this subnet here? Can I achieve my requirement with the help of this subnet? No.
No,
If I will
sir.
divide this network into 4 parts, then I will get 64 number of valid IP addresses in each subnet, right? But in department 1, you can see we need 120 IP address. If I will divide it into 2 parts, then I will get 126 IP address, but I need 3 subnet. So this is when VLSM comes in picture. Now here we have to perform VLSM if this is your main subnet and this is your requirement, right? So here what we'll do, first step of VLSM is arrange your requirement in the descending order, right? So the maximum number of IP addresses required in department 1 is 120, right? So I'm going to write 120 on top, then 50, and then 30. This is my requirement. First I will perform subnetting to get 120 IP addresses, then I will perform subnetting to get 50 IP address, then I will perform subnetting to get 30 IP address. Clear? My main subnet is 192.168.10.0/24, right? And guys, you know the valid host formula is 2 power h minus 2, 2 power h minus 2. So this valid host should be greater than or equal to my requirement 128, right? This is my requirement for department 1. Now you tell me what should be the value of h here. What should be
7.
the value of h?
7.
H should be 7 here, because if h is going to be 6, then I will get 2 power 6 means 64 minus 2. No, no. 64 minus 2, 62 IP addresses are there only, right? But I need 120 H should be 7. Then what will be the value of N? How many network bits are there? If host bits are 7, if 7 host bits are there in an IP address, then how many network bits are there, guys?
1.
That total length of IP address is 32 bits. Out of 32 bits IP address, 7 bits are host bits. How many network bits are there?
1.
How many network bits are there, guys? 25.
25.
1 bit.
25 network
Achha.
bits are, N is going to be 25. Right? So what should be my CIDR value? /25. If I am going to use /25 over here, then I will get two subnet. First one is 192.168.10.0 and second subnet is going to be 192.168.10.128/25/25. How many IP addresses are there? 126. Here also 126. Now I will assign this subnet to department 1, 192.168.10.0/25, and here I will get 126 IP address. I will use 120, and we can keep 6 IP address for future growth. Right? What about the second subnet? Can I use second subnet in second department? No. In second subnet we have 126 IP address, but I need only 50 IP addresses. So again I will perform subnetting on this subnet. So performing subnetting over the subnet is called supernetting. Right? So here again I will use same formula. 2 power h minus 2 should be greater than or equal to 50 now. So now you tell me what should be the value of h here?
6.
Now h should be 6. Then what will be the n? 26. If I am going to use n26, means I have borrowed 2 bit, means I have divided this LAN network into 4 parts. First one is 192.168.10.128. Second subnet is 192.168.10.128 plus block size. What will be the block size over here, guys? 256 minus 192. What will be your block size? 64. 64. So 128 plus 64. 190. This is going to be my second subnet. Third subnet 192. Even we don't need to calculate third subnet, right? Here /60 26. Now I can assign this subnet to second department, right? And over third subnet, over this subnet, again I can perform subnetting. Again 2 power h minus 2 should be greater than or equal to 30. 30. So h should be this time what? 5. So if h is going to be 5, n will be what? 27. Right? Subnet mask 255.255.255.224. Block size is going to be 256 minus 224. Is going to be 2 here and the 32. Right? So my first subnet is 192.168.10.128/27. Second subnet 192.168.10.128 plus 32, whatever value you will get, right? So I can now assign this subnet to this department, right? So total number of IP address over here is 30. Total number of IP address over here is 62. Total number of IP address over here is 126. So this particular types of division is called FLSM. So either we can divide a large subnet by using into multiple subnet by using FLSM or by using VLSM. The concept is going to be exactly same of, and this is all about your subnet. Now again I will take you to the OSI model. Guys, in OSI model, we have only seen what? We have only seen what is OSI model, why we need OSI model, and their layers and the function of each layers. We didn't discuss about header. Now you know the IP addressing, you know the port number, and you know the MAC address. Now I can teach you the header. And once I will finish the header, we'll see the packet flow. And once you will understand the packet flow, you can start the routing or switching. First I will cover the switching and then we'll go for routing, and after that we'll go for advanced. Total duration is going to be up to 4 months, 3 to 4 months. Within 3 to 4 months, we will be covering each and every topic of CNP in Core Plus and RC. Right? Then you are looking for certificate, you can go for. And from the exam, in the exam paper, you will get question from these topics only. Maximum question from basic topics. Okay, so make sure you will practice submitting by yourself before the next class. If it is not possible before the next class, if you are learning submitting for the first time, then just take this week. Within this week, practice submitting, and after that